Are you live or are you recording?
Recording me and you, just me and you, pre-recorded.
Are you scared to go live with me?
I never go live, ARP. I never go live. I don't do live shows, sir. Pre-record, I throw it on YouTube. Maybe that's a downfall of my. I don't know. I don't.
You
I
don't
don't.
trust me? You don't trust
No,
me?
it's not you. Anybody. I don't. If you notice, I tweet out my show, but I never say such and such come on my show. I just don't. I just do my show. You know what I mean? I'm removed from like blasting shit. And all that, man. Listen. Happy
What's up,
birthday.
man?
Happy birthday again to you. You know what I mean? Absolutely, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You at the Wu concert, man. How was the Wu concert? I know that's Staten Island and all that. How was the concert?
One of my favorite shows live ever.
Really?
No bias. No statin bias. No statin bias.
Okay.
Incredible. I mean, they started from 36 chambers and went all the way through just about everything we needed to hear as pure hip hop heads.
Wow.
To see the whole collective up there, of course, rest in peace, ODB, but his son has been already stepping up for him all these years. He's got the hair, he's got the mannerisms, he's got the songs down pat. So it feels like ODB has been there all this time. But it was incredible, man. Like I've been to a lot of shows, and that show right there.
Right.
And then they're promoting it. The whole bill is called the final chapter. So it's like you don't even know how many opportunities we're gonna get to see this group together like this again. You know what I'm saying? So when I did a little recap on my joint, I was just like, yo, all fans of hip hop, if you can get there, get there. This is a must see. It was incredible, B.
The illest 9-man crew I've ever seen in my life. I will never see a 9-man crew like the Wu-Tang Clan ever.
Nah, it's too much talent. I mean, when you get that much people in a group, there's a lot of weak links. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be weak links. We've never seen it. And I don't think we'll ever see something like that ever again. And even if we do see something like that again, you will never see it that long. Ever.
The longevity aspect of it, right?
No way we will see it that long with that much material, that many classic verses, albums. So there's no way. It's like I feel like the probability of that is like how I be thinking like seeing another LeBron. Like who else is going to come along with that much longevity and win the scoring all-time lead? You know what I'm saying? Like rating and rank. Like I just don't see it happening. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it happening, man. So shout out to the Wu, man. Beautiful hip hop moment, 3. Beautiful.
Are you enjoying doing your podcast? It seems like you're having fun. I watch you all the time, man. It seems like you're in a different space and just having fun, man.
Yeah, the chat and getting into the news cycle and the type of stuff that I'm covering, I generally have an interest in. And I got so comfortable with the chat and just being live there. Like I don't do it scripted. You know what I'm saying? I know what topics we're gonna talk about or whatever. I don't pre-record or nothing like that. I go live. I answer people in flight. My mind sometimes clicks on certain thoughts in flight, and the chat and the live just allow me to be me. And it's just growing brick by brick. Like I'm looking at the podcast and how much fun I have doing it. It kind of puts me in that space of anytime I'm a part of something that I have fun doing. You know what I'm saying? And then I've always been a stovetop guy. So I'm looking at the podcast like I have a lot of fun doing this. I can't wait to see what it looks like 5 years from now.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Brick by brick style. Real talk.
You know, it's funny. One of my old heads, right? He was like, yo, I'm watching this guy podcast and I'm into him right now. I said, who is that you talking about? He said, I forgot his name. I'm going to send you the link. He sends me your link. I'm like, my nigga, that's my man. He's like,
that's dope.
He don't watch battle rap. So he's a hip hop head, you know what I mean? So removed from battle rap and everything, right? I said, dog, that's my guy. I talk to this guy on a regular basis.
That's dope. It's dope to see that kind of thing of like it feels like starting all over with a new venture, you know. And the adventures that I've done publicly on the entertainment side, I've done things privately outside of that, and I know what it feels like to be in the beginning of something and to put the work into it and then watch it grow. And I feel like I'm doing another one of those all over again with the podcast. Like early this year when I was in New Orleans, I met somebody for the first time from the podcast, like face to face, you know. And as we were talking, I was waiting for like more of an RBE conversation, because every time I meet people out in public, be in the airports, mall, out and about or whatever, it's always RBE.
Right.
You know, this person, shit about RBE, and I was like, yo, I'm really meeting somebody here about the podcast. Like, wow, it's really, really growing. And then I had another example a couple weeks ago where we got like this little news chat called Checks and Balances that they help me keep up with all the news, and we check each other behind the scenes in a private chat. And they sent me the podcast episode that we did that we was put into a lawsuit. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was just like, it's like a major law, like big time lawsuit involving, you know, the Like That song with Kendrick and Future and all that and Metro. And, you know, behind the scenes, you know, the labels are getting into a lawsuit dispute about, you know, the rights to that song and Kendrick being added to it later on. And I spoke about it. And somebody took my my shit from the podcast and put it in the lawsuit as an exhibit. Like, this is the type of opinions that's on the internet about. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? You know? So as I see stuff like that, or when people hit me up, or I also know that, you know, it's coming off well received when I got people that know me that say like, this is cool.
Very
You know
cool.
what I'm saying? Like people that like grew up with me and shit, like they'll watch me from a fan's perspective, like, shit, I start my morning with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Like, yeah, I was watching your shit this morning. I was like, that's so dope. So I appreciate that, 3. Real talk. I appreciate it.
Do you have a specific time that you rock out? Like 6 o'clock, 5:30?
It was so I love having a set time, because when I had 6 a.m. set in stone Monday through Friday, and then weekends was a little bit more flexible, but it was in the mornings. But that time on the dot, I love the fact that I was watching the same people and then even additional people continue, because that consistency. Right. And I'm a very consistent person.
Absolutely.
I got off of that exact time in the morning, and I might go back to it very soon. I got to see.
Okay.
I had a conversation with Quarter Lab, and we talked about the lives versus the clipping, right? And starting to have both on the channel. So the reason why I started pushing the stream back a little bit, and I started coming on like 5:15 or whatever, is because the sooner I could complete the live, then the sooner I could start rolling out the clips, right? And the thing about YouTube is currently, you'll see that YouTube, they try to push out your notifications to your subscribers 3 times within 24 hours. So if I have a stream, so if I have a stream, you know, and then on top of that, the whole stepping on your content concept, it is at play to a degree, unless your subscribers and your social media promotion and some other elements related to your content are that robust and that big. Like, let's say how like Vlad is able to get away with it, for example. But for a smaller, you know, content rollout like me, from a podcast perspective, you know, me rolling out videos, 5 clips per day, and they're all on top of each other, 1 hour in between, for example, it hurts the views.
Okay.
It hurts it.
On the work, it sounds like it's stepping.
No, there's a lot. There's a lot I've been learning on my own, studying. There's a lot I've been learning from trial and error, and then there's also a lot. I have a monthly call where we build on the analytics, the channel, the changes in YouTube with Quarter Lab. Like, they're very, very supportive of the podcast, and they feel like this is going to be a gem for them and for me, right? So we have a monthly call where we go over everything. And, you know, they hit me to like their YouTube partner network. They go to the YouTube meetings and stuff like that. So I got to follow some of the knowledge that they pass me, and it makes me shift some of the timing and the way we're going about the podcast.
Okay.
But there's a lot of trial and error in there. So if I can get back to 6 a.m. ASAP on the dot consistently, I will. So I just hope that everybody that follows us keep an eye, and I try to give updates too. So
not to be egomaniac, but what is it about you that draws people, man? Because when people talk about you, they always go to the surgical talk. They always go to the intelligent black man conversation.
I appreciate that.
One thing you talk about, you like how you articulate yourself so well.
I appreciate that.
Is that one of your strong suits? Do you feel that way? How we look at you though?
I think people say that commonly from the feedback that I've gotten from people. I've always been, you know, solid with communicating with people.
Yes, you
On the battle rap side, I think I garnered a lot of appreciation from being transparent. You know what I'm saying? Also, people respect somebody that's outspoken. You know, when they feel like, you know, it's not common for somebody to speak out in this way or speak about certain topics or whatever. So I think people had a little bit of respect for that. Like, hey, but agree with him or disagree with him, you know, he stands in a certain spot. So I think that was part of it too. But I don't know, and I'm trying to get better at my podcast. Like I said, if you watch some of my streams from last year, I don't laugh as much, I don't joke as much.
Mhm.
I've gotten more comfortable. I think I'm growing, I'm evolving as a podcaster. So
Right.
I think just my regular delivery, and I appreciate the fans for seeing that, because there's a million podcasters and content creators on YouTube, and there could be at any given moment a million people talking about the same topic, like literally, like a million people, like a million people today, right now, talking about what happened in Diddy's trial, right?
Yes.
But you want to be able to go over to the Joe Budden podcast and get this, or go over to MEO and get that, or go to Vlad and get this, or go to academics and get that. And, and I think just my form of communication, the way I talk, my thought patterns, and the fact that I do it live, you
Yeah.
can get something different. We could all have the same topics, but that's where I get a lot of original type of, takes. But people like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, shit, me neither. I'm doing it here with y'all live. Like, so,
Right.
I appreciate, when I get that type of feedback. I do.
Do you consider yourself passive aggressive?
I think people do.
As a New Yorker though, do you feel you're passive?
So the thing about that term passive, I'll answer. I'll say yes first. I'll say yes. Okay, all right. I'll level with you. I'll say yes. But here's the thing about passive aggressive. You know what I hate about that? It's like how people say Gemini's got two sides. Like there's the whole astrology thing, and I always turn around. Yeah. But then I always turn around and I'd be like, who the fuck don't? Like three is cool as shit, but I'm pretty sure if I piss him off, I'm gonna see a different side of him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who don't got? You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing about being passive aggressive, I would rather be passive aggressive instead of one or the other. For example, if I was just 24/7 labeled as aggressive, then people would think I'm always extra, or I'm out the window, or I'm flighty and shit like that. If I was always passive, then I'm the type of guy that you could always get shit over on, right?
Right.
But if I'm in the middle, passive aggressive, which means that I could go in either direction, I'll take that out of the three.
You can't play the both sides. No, you can't.
Yeah. I mean, and I think people can respect certain personalities that are passive aggressive, because that means that the guy could go into either side based on the situation at hand. I need to be able to adapt to the situation at hand. I'm not always going to be even in one spot. I'm not always going to be walking around aggressive all day. I'm not going to be walking around passive all day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind that.
What's your take on Kendrick last night performing in Toronto? I want to get your take on this. I don't know if you spoke about it on your channel. I didn't get to watch it.
I didn't yet. So I saw the clips of everybody saying like one more time or something like that for Not Like Us to perform again. I mean, put it this way. If you would have asked me what's my prediction when Kendrick gets to Toronto, number one, I would have said, let's talk business. I would have said, there's a lot of smart people behind his tour, because he's already broken records. Like he has the highest grossing for one night tour or show in like history, right? For a rap show or something like that. So everybody can already speculate how much money his tour, him and SZA, was going to make, right? You don't put Toronto on there just to play games, right? That was all from some smart business people, scoped out, thought out, right? And then along the lines, you're also seeing the sales. Okay, like when we see the footage now, we see this packed, huge arena and people screaming like that. They knew that before they got there. If they would have been selling 50,000 seats in every other city, but for some reason in Toronto they were only selling a couple hundred, we would have got one of those industry excuses. Oh, something came up, he got sick or whatever, and they would have skipped the shit. So going in, there's obviously a big sale that they was already anticipating, and it was already thought about beforehand. So you got that factor.
Right.
Number two, outside of the business standpoint, people, I think they get a little bit out of their body when people just do the whole regional stuff too much. These are megastars. They have fans everywhere, right? Drake could do a very successful show in LA. Okay, he has a lot of. I do. I do. I think if Drake times it properly, if his energy is the right way, like Kendrick wasn't dissing Toronto during our. Well, he took some shots at Drake about his background, whatever, and then biting American culture. But all the people that's out there that want to see Kendrick and or SZA, I just didn't see it. I think Drake is strong with the fan base out there, being that he's from there. But that doesn't automatically mean that nobody wants to see this show. I think people overdo that sometimes.
Okay.
You know, so I'm not shocked. I'm not. I really ain't.
I was a little shocked at the way Kendrick got. Listen, I couldn't see Tupac doing "Hit 'Em Up" and "Hail Mary" Madison Square Garden in the '90s like that. With him and Biggie was going through
Well,
it. I don't think
well,
that was
well, well, yeah, well. First of all, Tupac really got shot. Like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
he
Different
really got shot, and then publicly blamed them niggas. Like, so that the East Coast, West Coast, and part of my eyes. You know, I'm watching the game in the background. Me and you was already texting about that, so part of my eyes. But I don't like the way this energy is right now, neither, because
Okay,
niggas
see
will
on
not
what
be able
place
to
though,
come back
ARP?
from
I don't
3-1.
know. Okay, see
I
on
don't,
what
I don't like that. I don't like that. But let me not fuck up. Let me not fuck up the topic. But I don't see it the same. Like, you know what they say: once blood is shed, right? Once blood is shed, there's no return. The Drake, the Drake and the Kendrick thing. You know, everybody felt that it was all music, all competition, all battle. Even Drake said that at the end of the Hot Part 6. Hey, thank you for getting me come outside, shed some of the rust and all that, yada, 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 yada. Even the last track he dropped, he was talking to that shit. I think the fans created a siding that happens when you got a big battle like that. And then I think the lawsuit made it a little bit more personal. You got the top fives of the world that probably was saying things a little bit more reckless. I never heard Drake say nothing overly reckless. I never heard Kendrick say anything overly reckless off the songs. So it's not the Pac and the Big thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not. That really was
some real
in
shit.
our face as real beef.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
is the culture blowing this Wale constant thing too much? Is it overblown?
all I seen was Wale walk up on him at the award show and whisper in his ear, and then I seen him shake hands again after that. I think that's one of those overblown ones. I do. I do. I do. Well, you know how the internet is.
internet, right?
Yeah, you know how the internet is. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. It is what it is.
When you look at situations that's going on in battle rap today, right? Big conversation about block battles and stuff like that.
Damn, that wasn't a smooth transition.
No, but listen, let's get to it though. Do you look back like this? Like, this is the reason why I'm not part of this culture no more. Not saying not a part of it, part of me.
Not
slow down a little bit though, right?
I mean,
as you was at one point.
You know, I'm numb to some things, right? And numb to certain things. Or definitely more numb now than ever. But you know, I still stand on what I've said publicly over 100 times, which is, you know, there's not one reason why, you know, I decided like, it's time for me to move on. It's not one reason. It's a whole culmination of a bunch of things. And, you know, you got to plot out your own destiny. You got a lot of people that'll say good riddance, and then you got a lot of people that say shut the fuck up and come back to battle rap, ARP. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I hear both sides, and I got an ego at times, and other times I appreciate the praise and the transition that people are watching in me. You know what I'm saying? But no matter what energy or feedback you're listening to more, you have to be solid and sturdy and strong enough to develop your own path. You only live once. You know what I'm saying? You only live once. If you get to a point where you say you want to start getting into sports, like I'm watching the game in the background, so I just use that. You want to get into sports, and to do that, one thing that you want to stop doing is applying the energy to running the PSA, you know, channel. And you also feel like there's things that's good and bad about what you're doing here in battle rap. Then it's okay for you to transition to something else in this part of your life. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. And honestly, if there's response to it, both good and bad, then that just shows your impact that you would bring into battle rap. You know, like, so when people say good riddance, or that means that like shit, they was putting up with you this whole time, then they couldn't get rid of you. Or if they say, damn, we miss you, then that show, you know what I'm saying? So either way, you know, but you have to choose your destiny, man. You can't sit inside something where you feel like I've done just about everything that I want to do, and now I could be happier and more productive taking some of that time and putting it over here. You got to be able to do that for your life. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question. How did you deal with block battles though? Back, I mean, how did you
Yo, your
mentally?
transitions is trash.
Mentally, how did you deal with block battles in a grimy battle rap world, man? You dealt with a lot of stuff. You had to deal with when everybody's running to the app, and now people are respectfully poo-pooing on the app now. You had to deal with block battles. You had to deal with a lot of shit. And I watch you fight through all of that. I watch you leave this culture on top. I literally watch you leave this culture on top with some John Elway winning two Super Bowls and going to the sunset almost, right?
Respect.
So how did you deal with block battles though, man? All this conversation
Can
about
I,
Evan and
yeah,
Taurus,
three, you know how me and you rock, so I don't duck no fades with no
right?
questions. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But before I answer that, can I just please ask two questions from you,
Of
which is
course.
number one, what is your definition of a block battle? That's the first thing I want you to answer for me first,
All right.
right? And then the second question I'd like to ask you is when you ask me a question like that, you're not asking me, did you deal with block battles? You're saying, how did I deal with block battles? So the second question I want to ask you is, are you of the firm belief that whatever your definition that you're going to give me of block battles, that it has happened to me or others, right? So answer those two questions for me, and then I'll answer your question.
Let's go to the block battle stuff.
What's the definition of it to you?
If ARP has a battle between me and another battle rapper, right? And have a contract, right, from a different league, right? And how can I say this? I'm gonna go with Advent Twerk. From my understanding is this: Advent Twerk are not under contract for URL, right? TBL wanted a battle and stuff like that, but URL is saying that they gave deposit to both gentlemen before, right? So they feel that's their battle, right? Even though Advent Twerk are not on contract. This is where it gets kind of dicey for me, but this is why I want to ask you this question because I'm confused. If you're not under contract, right, but you gave guys deposits or 2 or 3 deposits at one particular time, is that still your battle?
So I'll tell you some of the gray area of that, and some of it also leads back to the way that people do business, right? And some people do business in a way that keeps things like this from happening, and other people do business in different ways. I'm the guy that never had a short memory in this, right? So, like for example, I think of situations like with K-Shine, right? And if I go back and I listen to both sides speaking about that situation, regardless of who you walk away believing is right or wrong, there's still some similar issues in there that create these type of problems, right? And it's not just about communication. So, for example, like I don't know niggas outside of RBE's contracts, right? But we hear a lot of things from battle rappers. So then I ask a question as it pertains to you asking me about Av and Twerk, right? I ask a question. Does a contract have a time stipulation in it, right? That's the first question I ask. If it doesn't, legally, are there time limits when it comes to how long something can be upheld, like legally, right? That's the second question. The third question is, if I have one side telling me, I gave you a deposit, and I have another side telling me it's not under contract. Well, what type of contract is it? Like, because I don't know how good a contract, well, I shouldn't say good. Everybody does business differently. For me, if there's contracts that do not have specifics of what we are doing business for, I personally don't like that type of contract. What do I mean by that? If I book Rosenberg Raw, right, and I give him a contract, his contract has his opponents in it.
Right.
Okay. And it's also going to have a time range in it. Right. Anything outside of that is kind of like it could be voided, like legal by a lawyer. So why are two sides that supposedly signing a contract having different interpretations of a contract?
Okay.
Like, does that contract say this person is your opponent, or is it an open-ended contract and you're really being bound by the other side saying, I gave you money? That creates gray area, and gray area creates disagreements, misinterpretations, misunderstandings, disagreements. And then next thing you know, you have stuff like this. And when I see a lot of different examples over the years of stuff like this, it makes me ask once again, artists, you have some responsibility. what's in your contract and what is the interpretation from you and even what the other side expects from this, especially if there's things that's in it that's open-ended,
Okay.
right? And then also you got to ask the question where it's just like, if you don't even understand what binds you to this particular battle or that particular battle outside of the money exchange, then it's either an invalid contract, you don't understand it, or you need to hire a manager or a lawyer to read this stuff for you. You know what I'm saying? Or sign away your rights to agree for some of your business deals. Let a manager be able to sign for you or something, because there's just too much business that just looks fucked up in battle rap. Like, this is not new. You know, so I think the leagues and the artists can help each other, but I question the style of contract sometimes from the things that we hear, because there's too much similarity in many different situations that sound like the one that a lot of people is talking about today. You know?
Do you think Av should not do shows or go in spaces and talk about certain things? You think battle rappers should not do that?
I don't know. I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because I didn't read his contract and I wasn't on any phone calls between him and whoever he did business with. So what I could go on is loose information, hearing from maybe one side and hearing some of the, you know, sometimes you don't get all the details, right? There's always three sides to a story. So the reason why I said I don't want to take a firm position on that is because if Av is totally in the right, I am a believer in speaking out. Sometimes you got to use like nobody wants to be in here going to jail and killing each other and all that type of stuff, right? So what's one of the things that we do very commonly in battle rap? We speak out, right? Battlers, league owners, you know, people will speak out about things that are going on, right? So I think that's a better alternative than shit that's more extreme than that, of course. Let the fans understand what's going on, tell your fan base what's going on, and sometimes that even makes people grow. You know, I don't want negative feedback on me or my brand, right? So if a bunch of battlers are coming out speaking on me, continuing to do something that they deem incorrect, and the fans are giving me backlash for it, I might change it because I keep getting publicly outed for it. So I'm not saying I'm against speaking out. I've always been very transparent, but that's considering if Av was in the right. Now, if he's in the wrong, then that's one of them scenarios where it's just like, you know, you speaking, you're not saying everything, or you speaking, you're lying or what. And I'm not saying that's the case. Like, I don't have all the information, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I should say he should or he shouldn't. I don't know fully. I don't know.
Did you see Angry Fans live?
I watched about like 20 minutes of it, and then you text me.
Okay. What you think about
like 20, so what I watched so far was, or what I listened to the Holla and the Av. I listened to about 20-30% of Piper Boy's video.
All right.
I watched a piece of Vodafly and Showtime SP. I think they was in a car, right? I watched Chris's shit, I think yesterday. And somebody, a blogger just texted me the Angry Fan shit. And I was just like, all right, let me tune into this. And I was listening to it while I was watching the first half of this game. And then you text me. And then you text me.
What's your take on the 20 minutes that you watched?
That's what I think creates some of the gray. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to look at it like this. If one person is saying it ain't that, and this is incorrect, and yada, 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 and then the other person is saying, no, you didn't got paid, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it just leaves you in a position to say, well, somebody's lying, right? Or somebody's wrong, bare minimum, right? And then I keep hearing things like 7 years. It's just, once again, I know like even legally there's time standards. And some of it draws back to why are two people, maybe, let's say, let me take something back. Maybe one of the two people isn't lying. But why is there so much confusion then if nobody's lying? And that if it's nobody's lying and it's pure confusion between two parties that have already done business 1,000,000 times together, then my only answer is there's different interpretations of that business or those deposits or that contract. And then what is that then? You know, like, does the contract have names in it? Does it have time ranges in it? Is it open-ended? Is it, I don't know. All I know is that we keep seeing it. So I saw Beasley and Smack defending themselves, but also seeing Holla and Av and Boss in the space, and they was talking. I think who also adds to the equation and totally leans the scale one way or the other, TBL speaking out. Because I saw Beasley kind of leverage that. Beasley was like, you don't hear TBL saying anything. Well, what if they do? If they do, they're either going to take a position that's going to clarify it as, Av is more in the wrong or URL is more in the wrong. I heard, and here's one of the ones that would say that, oh no, somebody's lying. Because I saw when Beasley was saying, we got on the phone and we spoke, and that's why TBL isn't speaking out, right? Okay. But when I listen to the spaces and I see things that's going on Twitter, I'm hearing about threats. I'm hearing about we will cease and desist you won't get booked anymore, or even at the league level, if you book that battle, you are up now. You shouldn't have to, if that's true. TBL can confirm whether that's true or false, and that's going around.
Right.
Like if it's about a contract and legalities of rights to a battle, then you should never even have to threaten somebody. You should never have to say like you about to be an op as a league. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear that type of stuff, TBL can help say this side is wrong, that side is wrong, this person's adding this person left that out, or that person's lying. And they may never say anything. But I think TBL being dead in the middle of all of it, you have to get to a point where you create your integrity with and I'm not saying they haven't already, but grow your integrity with the fans and grow your integrity with the battle rappers. And sometimes that makes you have to draw your lines in the sand. You know what I'm saying?
Are you the first person for TBL to reach out to have a conversation, dig your brain?
Say again?
Would you be the best person for TBL to reach out to situations like this, how to navigate?
I'm not saying that I'm the best person to reach out to, but I did speak to Kenny last week.
Okay.
Shout out to Kenny, shout out to Chilla. Kenny a good dude. Sometimes we've gotten on the phone to exchange advices and talk just about battle rap and the culture and certain little things or whatever. I'm very, very excited to see the fact that he's got Hitman and Moot Book, or they have Hitman and Moot Book. So I've spoken to him recently, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to divulge all of that stuff.
I do that.
Yeah, I don't want to divulge all of that stuff, but I don't want to say like, hey, come talk to me. Nah.
Not hey, come talk to me, but being that you've been through a lot in this culture, I feel like you're listen, I would say this, you've been through a lot of bullshit in this culture, ups and downs. And I think in fact that, in a situation like this that's been talked about, you would be a good person. I would dig your brain to see how I would deal with certain situations.
I'm very accessible, man. You know what I'm saying? I've always kept myself accessible, sometimes to a detriment, man, where it shit hurt me. I'm over accessible. You know what I'm saying? But whether it's about my experiences or whether it's just about ideas or whatever, or even if we just talking shit about battle rap, whether it's TBL or anybody else, man, we always can holler, get on the phone, catch up or whatever. I'm still, battle rap is a part of me for life, especially because hip hop is a part of me for life. So, me moving from league on into podcast, it doesn't mean that I'm not talking to nobody no more. I'm not accessible. I'm not here to share experiences. Like, I'm accessible, man.
Will we ever get one more Max out?
No.
That's a dub. That's a dub. Look how adamant you said that. You said it very adamant. Wow.
Wow. No, I'm so proud that people ask for it on a daily basis. I'm so proud of that. Like that's you want me to say some shit, some brownie point shit, some arrogant shit. I'll say some arrogant shit for you. Okay. I'll take the humility off for a second. I'm gonna tell you some arrogant shit.
Okay.
You will never see a better retirement in battle rap than the RBE retirement. I don't think, because first of all, you're coming off of what you said earlier. Like you said, it's like a clean sweep. So you got like League of the Year, you got Card of the Year, you got Battle of the Year, you got Champion of the Year. It's just a lot. You got Arena of the Year, Blue Room. It's just and then it lands. It's all plotted out on the 10-year anniversary, which is something that you know, is very, very honoring for any platform or any league to get to a 10-year mark.
That's crazy.
You know, like I'll tell you this, as much as retirement floated in my mind for like even like the last 4 or 5 years, you know, I don't think I would have been able to cross like year 6 and year 7 and stop before I got to 10. It's just something about the significance of that number that makes you feel from a legacy standpoint more fulfilled. It's just that round number.
Milestone, right?
Yeah, it's that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot that you know, the stars lined up. You know, we were blessed in certain aspects, and you know, I think I don't want to fuck with that. Like, if God gave me my Jordan walk-off shot, I ain't coming back on the court in a Wizards uniform. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing it.
What about full circle though? No full circles either.
Yeah, no, full circle. And I said that from day one. I said full circle is here for me to rock with people that I fuck with, as well as some great talent, and continue to have fun and put some good content on the channel for our fan base and for our continued library and legacy. So I think it's dope to be able to pull out a full circle and get things like a Thesaurus debut finally, or you know, put somebody like a dollar bill in front of them for that, or get a Arsenal versus Arsenal versus Rosenberg. People forget Arsenal and Jag had years and years of history. You know, it finally was able to get done on a full circle, not a regular card. You know what I'm saying? It got done on a full circle. And I really plan on continuing to do full circles as well as the Now What series with just some dope matches. You know, I chilled a little bit more after I did that first card this year. That was the black and white footage. You know, the old Red versus Emerson Kennedy, and Active versus Jay Murder, and Dollar Bill versus Thesaurus, and you know, all of those battles. And I get to keep rocking with Ruin Your Day, man. Let them be creative. Alba wants to do some wild, incredible shit. And, you know, I want to be able to pop outside every once in a while and just have some fun. So that shit ain't going nowhere.
I ain't gonna hold you up too long, but I'm gonna ask you this. Do you feel certain guys that was under your umbrella, it's been hard for them though? The Big K's, the Ill, even Ill was coming up a classic with Jay the Nightwing, Jay Murders, Show Offs, all these guys that you gave a voice to and give them a platform to get on. Once ARP is not active and RB is not active like that, it's kind of hard for these guys to migrate. I don't think these guys have. I was happy for Ill Will. I was worried about Ill Will for a while, but the Jay the Nightwing battle got me back in. I was happy for that brother to have a classic with Jay the Night. I think it's been tough for Big K a little bit though. I think from outside.
So I will say this. That dog swing both ways. Like, I don't feel the same without those guys.
Okay.
You know, I don't feel the same without those guys. And if I don't feel the same without those guys, I'm pretty sure that there's a part of them that don't feel the same without RBE. You know what I'm saying? But you can't do it both ways. You can't say like, oh, these guys was this and that before, but then when you say RBE is gone, now all of a sudden it's so different for them. So which one is it?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? which one is it?
True? Can two things be true or no?
Yeah, that's you're right about that. But I mean, what those guys did within RBE is one of the reasons why RBE is RBE. So once again, the door swings both ways. If RBE is removed, then that's a piece of, you know, their legacy. So I understand that there's a change, but talent is talent, and no matter how loyal you are to a platform or a league, I'll steal it from Vada Fly. Can they book it?
Right.
Saying if you cook it, and somebody is still going to call a hitman and say, here, you know, I got this big bag for you. Somebody's still going to say, yo, Big K, I want you on Power Moves, or Ill Will, I want you on, and you're going to have Battle of the Night with Jay tonight. You know what I'm saying? These guys are still getting their calls. Froze keeps battling. Jay Murder just battled Big K. Show Off.
Also, I think Jay Murder about to battle Umpi in
July. There you go. Show Off been fell back. Jim's he left. Oops. I think he said that he was done even before RBE retired, or I retired. Who else? Adi Boom, you know, he had the situation with K. JC was one of the early guys that rocked with us. I still see Heavy Halfer. You know what? I do want to say this on your platform too.
All right.
Because sometimes, like when I talk, my memory goes about those early guys, and I even leave some people out. but I want to try to freestyle it right now to give the respect that these guys deserve, because once again, without them, that RBE is not RBE. So you got your show off, you got your oops, you got your Adi Boom, you got your gyms, right? During that time, also, Big K and Ill Will is definitely coming into the fold and becoming big players within RBE.
Yes.
Too often I forget to say Jay Murder. Too often I forget to say Big Cannon. You know, too often, and I was about to get to it. There's two other guys that might have been considered a little bit smaller name or draw than some of the people I just mentioned. But Mr. Mills was a day one guy with us. I always appreciated his talent on our platform. And if he ever claimed a home league back then, it was probably RBE. I felt similar about Heavy Half.
Shout out Heavy
You
Half.
know?
Absolutely.
You know, so that's why Heavy Half got some nice plates on RBE. People forget that, you know, I got Heavy Half, Math Hoffa. You know, so you know, some of those guys, shout out to JC. JC got videos of him saying, yeah, that's my home, or that's my second home over there. You know what I'm saying? Like when we was tied in.
You got JC backlit. Let's call it what it is. You're not gonna say it, I'll say it for you. You got JC backlit, and that's just what it is. And that forced his hand. He got the URL, but he got lit back on RBE.
But I'm glad. I'm very glad to see that JC found his pocket, and other people realized the pocket for him as well. And either way, he was able to continue. You know, he never skipped a beat. There's a lot of people that, like, when you ask me this original question, like, you might say like, oh, they skipped the beat. JC never skipped the beat.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So shout out to JC. And then of course there was even a stint where people said, oh, Daylight is his home league is RBE and King of the Dot. Right. There was a time when people felt like, yo, Math is becoming the face of RBE. You know what I'm saying? Of course, later on, Hitman elevated with RBE to another level. Shout out to my nigga Swave. Shout out to QB. You know, these are people that I think I said Rosenberg Raw already. If not, I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? Froze, of course. So, you know, when I start naming people like that, these are people that, you know, fans thought that looked at them like RBE, this was their home league. I did, or they did as well, or they raved the flag. And I feel like we just created a dope legacy together. So I think when you ask me questions like the one you asked me, I feel like it applies more to maybe the last wave of artists that came through RBE, opposed to those guys that were already stamped and certified. You know what I'm saying? If you're stamped and certified, if you're cooking, they booking, and you could do anything you want. We already created legacies together, you know?
Last question. How excited are you for Hitman and Mook?
I think it's the biggest battle left. Some could argue maybe Daylight and Lux.
Easy and Rock also. I'll say Easy Rock, Daylight.
Easy Rock, definitely a huge grudge match. But the thing about Easy and Rock, I mean, Rock is considered God tier, right? And if Easy isn't, I don't think people say God tier for Easy yet, and they don't put him like Mount Rushmore yet. I think Easy can get there. You know what I'm saying? Because Easy is that talented, and he's obviously a big draw. So shout out to Easy. But stamped, certified Mount Rushmore argument, as well as God tier end game guys like Easy. When Easy battled Hitman, that's looked at as he's getting an end game person.
Right.
This is solidified end game versus end game. Mount Rushmore argued versus Mount Rushmore argued. God tier versus God tier. No debate. You know, and also you factor in that they have a real grudge.
Yeah.
They really don't like each other. Like not just promo, and not just they really don't like each other. So that's why I say you put all those factors together. It's the biggest match that's left. So how could you be a battle rap fan and not be excited for the shit? Like
listen,
you know what I'm saying?
Hitman is solidified, but I always felt like he needed a Mook or Lux battle. Do you feel that way? He was solidified already.
Nah, as soon as you say the word need, nah, hell no. I mean, I do agree when people say that, like he became a God tier without battling a God tier.
He did.
You know, he could A-side any card. He could A-side any league. He could main event any card, any league. It's an easy argument to call him the biggest draw. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, what else? What are you talking about?
Like hearing you say this, sir.
No. Averb. I've heard him even as of recent, as far as a battle rapper, give Hitman the accolades that he deserves.
Yes.
You know, I know that Averb says things like Holla's not a draw. You know what I'm saying? But that's just
crazy,
them doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just them doing what they do. Like when I see Averb do that, like they're arguing, right? So they're finding ways to angle at each other. I'm trying to stay out of it. Like a lot of that shit to me this time around feels more like entertainment. I'm staying out of it from a degree. Like you don't see me like trying to weigh in publicly all the time. I have my positions.
All of us on ARP, the whole culture is. You don't. Nobody's really talking about that shit. We see what's going on. We're not blinded, right?
Yeah, I tune in. But I just because of battle rap. I tune in because it's battle rap. You know what I'm saying? Of course, me and Holla, we'll get on the phone. We'll say certain things about it to each other. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, and then also I feel like I also listen to Verb too, because I know sometimes he uses me or RBE for some of his angles. So I pay attention to that shit. Like he's been saying a lot recently, Holla in a draw, because I know that because I got the Max Out 3 pay-per-view numbers. And it's just like you know, like I respond when there's ARP or RBE involved. You know, Holla could fight his own battles any day of the week. You know what I'm saying? But and so could Verb. Yes, but when Verb says stuff like that, I just be like, yo, Verb, like he just be killing me sometimes when I feel like he like contradicts himself. Because I was like, yo, Verb, you did like a year whole campaign against URL. And one of the things that you were saying is that another company was responsible for robbing us, right? And I'll say allegedly, right? I ain't gonna go there right now. But one thing that already is a fact and already is public, that we've seen over $1 million of viewership on Caffeine from Max Out 3 while it was on pay-per-view. That's already public. Like that screenshot in the videos is already public. Over $1 million. Okay, that's number one. And number two, whether it's a result from that or not, allegedly, the fact is that the order of viewership for Max Out is Max Out 1 is the top one, Max Out 2 is number 2, and Max Out 3 is number 3. And Max Out number 3 could have been the best card of all three Max Outs, right? It could have been, but allegedly, I didn't see over $1 million on other platforms worth of viewership the night of my stream for Max Out 2 or for Max Out 1, but I did for Max Out 3, and that's already public. So
right. Well, brother, listen, man, I ain't gonna hold you too long, man. I like to get knowledge from you a little bit. Are you gonna be doing any podcasts this weekend at all? It's Father's Day weekend.
I'm 7 days a week, brother.
It don't stop. The grind.
I've told all the people that rock with the channel, I've told people we are 7 days a week unless A, something critical comes up, or B, I'm out of town. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, we are 7 days a week. I was there this morning. Tomorrow morning, I will be there bright and early as well. I hope one thing that I'm not going to mention on the stream is that we are down to, I'm saying we, as if I've been a ride or die OKC fan. I'm not, but I'm going for OKC. And if they go down 3-1 tonight, they are not about to pull a Braun, man. So,
I got a topic before you go that I would love to hear you talk about, man.
What's that? I'm good. I know that we thought that we was gonna do the stream for halftime, but the reason why I'm so good is I just set the joint up and I end up just putting on the game in here with me. So I'm cool. I'm cool.
I'm gonna step up for a little bit. I want to get you a take on this tomorrow if you can't talk about this. Antonio Brown situation. I would love to hear you talk about that if you can, just to get your knowledge.
You know what's so crazy? I'll probably do a little bit more research before I put it on tomorrow's stream or this weekend. But I'll tell you this: I did a stream covering the initial incident, and then of course he was let go and everything like that, and I pulled the footage up and everything. And then when the dude involved came out and spoke out, I covered that and I said, "Oh, this gives a different perspective, and this gives a lot of cause to pause." So now to see that nigga spun the block on him, I'm like, yeah, because there's a lot of the whole like, yo, you lit off, and then, well, why did you lit off? Was it you protecting your chain? Like, it's one thing for him to come out and say, it was a robbery attempt. So niggas try to run down on my jewels or whatever. But then this guy comes out and he's showing all the history between you guys and saying, no, this is the first time that we crossed paths between seeing each other after all the drama we've had and issues and whatnot. We got into it or whatever. And, self-defense is self-defense, but sometimes there's gray area based on if you need to invoke lethal force. And gun owners and carriers need to be very, very careful as possible when it comes to that. And the details that guy put out didn't look good, and that might be the reason why them charges popped up now. So,
wow, all right. ARP, this was his fourth quarter. Indeed, by Sunday, I need OKC to make this 2-2.
Who you going for? Who you going for?
Going for OKC.
Yeah,
I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not running with Indiana. Hell no, that's not happening.
And you want to know what? I like when people had a moment. You know what I'm saying? Like Joker. We'll talk about the new era, right? Of faces, potential faces, and stars of the league, right? Yeah. And the big guys are the top three of that group. You can say Joker, Giannis, and now Shea, right? Like possibly those three. Somebody might get mad at me for leaving Tatum out of that, but because especially he already got a ring. But the whole thing with Shea, with this type of year, the MVP, the scoring leader, the finals MVP, the great year that they've had, the history that this will be for OKC as a city. And then, of course, we believe that if they win these finals, that he will also be the finals MVP. It'll be a historic run. And then that's what puts him alongside Joker and Giannis, because those two guys already got a chip.
They got one
right?
ring. Good point.
Yeah, once you get your ring, everybody knows that's what makes you a made man. Until you can get over that hump, you know what I'm saying? Everybody questions like, oh, you're this, you're that, but are you ever going to get it done? Nobody wants to be a Reggie or a Barkley or even my man, an AI. They don't mind being that career-wise, but as far as that ultimate chip.
Oh my God, Patrick Ewing, man.
Patrick Ewing is another one. You know what I'm saying? And these guys have Hall of Fame historic careers. Allen Iverson is my favorite player of all time. He doesn't have a ring. You know what I'm saying? But even for Shea to be here in the finals, like this right now, with the alleged dominant team, and he's playing at his peak, and it's just this is his time, and the Pacers look like they are trying to spoil this shit, dude. Like, this is crazy.
What the hell, man?
And I respect Hallie, man. I fuck with him.
I don't hate him. I don't hate him at all.
No, I don't hate him. I feel like he's well spoken at times. He's had his moments, but I like the way he's carried himself for the most part. He's a little bit more of a traditional point guard. A little bit more pass first than a lot of today's modern era point guards. Right. I like Hallie a lot, man. He looks awkward. His game looks a little bit awkward. So that holds him back from being a superstar. Like, let's say like an Anthony Edwards or something like that. It looks more flashy and smooth and fluid with his shit and above the rim game. He's never gonna have a pretty game, Halliburton. He's not.
No, he's not. I don't think so.
But he's not here. But he's not here. We can't say that he's here by accident. I know this was a sneaky Pacers in the finals. That's sneaky to some people, but it's not an accident the way that these guys have been playing. It's not.
All right.
It's not.
All right, my brother, enjoy the fourth quarter. I'm gonna definitely tap in tomorrow morning to your podcast. I love you like cook food, brother. You know that.
Likewise, Jay. I appreciate you as always, man. And listen, I want you to understand, because I came to your house tonight, I respected you. But when I get back on my podcast, it's shots fired again. I just want to take my shoes off and respect your house. I just wanted to take my shoes off. I always respect the next man crib. But when I get back home, it's on and popping.
All right. Love you, my dude.
My nigga, likewise.
My nigga LP, man. Y'all know the vibes already, you heard?